now late October 2022, and in January of 22, I was talking with Jessica, who was working at my townhouse. She asked me if I was still working, and I asked her if she'd ever heard of C. Difficile. And in most cases, when I ask somebody that question, it goes right over their head because in 70% of the time, nobody's heard of C. difficile. If you're in the medical profession, you've definitely heard of it. But anyway, so I was expecting not any reaction from Jessica, but she came back right away and said, as a matter of fact, my father-in-law has it right now. I thought, oh, you've got to be kidding. Anyway, so that started the relationship, and I'd like to introduce Michael Buza, who is in this interview with me, and Michael is the father-in-law in question. And so I met Michael back in February because I said, well, you know, I actually had one of our C. diff treatments with me at the time, which I'd had, you know, at the time, it had been sitting in my fridge for probably over 3 years, which was before our clinical trial even started up here in Canada. And so I said, well, you know, he's more than welcome to try it out. And I think Jessica had mentioned right off the bat that you'd been battling with it since I guess the summer of the year before. Anyway, and so I guess Michael finally came up and met with me, and we went over the whole thing and talked about it. And I think right at the beginning, you know, he probably had some questions, and I think I think you have a niece or something that works as a researcher.
Yes, yeah. She does research, so she had access to see different trials and clinics, you know, people that are doing things.
Yeah. And so you know, to Michael's credit, he checked us out, which I'm glad he did, and we came out that we weren't just crazy, and actually had a legitimate C. diff trial ongoing, and so I guess that gave you a little more confidence about working with us. And so anyway,
Right.
but you know, thanks for joining me. So first question, okay, your daughter-in-law had heard of C. diff before, but when you were diagnosed, had you ever heard of C. diff before that?
No.
Yeah. So like, you know, it's you know, all this, you know, something new. And I guess the next question is you know, I guess you were an outpatient when you had it. Like, in other words, you weren't in the hospital when you were diagnosed.
Right. It was as an outpatient.
Yeah, exactly. And so what prompted you to even get, you know, I guess you had the typical symptoms, which are diarrhea and such, and you know, that's what made you decide to go in for a checkup, I guess. Is that what it was? Or
Well, yeah, because I was in the ER for diverticulitis, and they gave me IV antibiotic, and then they gave me oral antibiotics, and then it cleared up. But then about a month later, I started having some symptoms, so I figured it was the diverticulitis, another account with it. So a doctor gave me some more antibiotics, and then that worked for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, I started getting it again. And this time it was blood and mucus, and it was a little different. I go, something was going on, and a lot of cramping. And I went to a GI doctor, and the GI doctor said, well, let's do some blood work and some other tests to see what's going on. Plus, we'll do a C. diff just to see. And I said, okay. So I went and got the blood work done. And then I was in the car, and I got a call a few days later saying, you test positive for C. diff. And I thought, oh, well, that'll take care of it. Then they know they can just treat me for the C. diff, and I'll be over all this gut trouble. But little to my knowledge was that I was in for a rocky road ahead.
Yeah, well, and so you went, and you know, once you were diagnosed, I guess they gave you a prescription for, I'm presuming, an antibiotic of some sort.
Right, and they started me off on vancomycin.
Yeah, that's typically the standard of care right now. And so you took that for what, a 10 to 14 day or something like that, or
14 days. Yeah.
Yeah. And so after that, and this was back when, and back in the summer of 2021.
Right, in June. I started the C. diff was diagnosed in June, and then they started the vancomycin in June.
Great. All right. And so you went and you did your 14 days, and then, you know, after that, what happened?
Well, the vancomycin, I noticed results like it went away with 2 to 3 days, and then after a month, it cleared it up after the 2-week regimen, and then it cleared it up. But then a month later, I caught it again. It ended up surfacing again.
But you had the same symptoms that you'd had previously, the mucus and that kind of thing, and you're like, oh, here we go again. So,
right.
All right. And so then what? You went back, I guess, and they said, well, here's some more vancomycin. I don't know. Is
Right.
that what
They gave
happened?
me another round of vancomycin, and then it was the same procedure again. It cleared it up, and a month later, I ended up with it again.
Yeah. So how many times, just curious, I mean, when we
Well,
first,
this went on. This went on every month. It cleared up like 2 weeks, and then in 2 weeks it'd come back, and it went all the way up into December, and it was just the same cycle. It cleared up, come back, cleared up, come back, and it seems like it was getting worse as time went on.
yeah,
As far
well,
as when it would come back, when it come back, it'd be worse symptoms.
yeah, and what they say is, once you've recurred once, your chances of recurring again go up as opposed to the other way around. And so, it gets into the point where, it's a vicious cycle. It just won't go away. Did they, suggest, okay, now you've, 6 or 7 months later, you still got the same cycle going on. Had they suggested anything else or did you just say,
Well, what happened is it was December, so around Christmas time, and it was hard to get a hold of the doctor. So the symptoms got bad, and it was on the weekend. So I went to ER, and the
mm-hmm,
ER doctor there, it said, yeah, it sounds like a C Diff. And he goes, have you tried another doctor? He goes, you're having these results and it keeps coming back and back. He goes, it's not working. He goes, you need to see another doctor, maybe go to Tampa area or something. And he goes, you're familiar with FMT? And I said, yes. And then one of the nurses told me about the FMT, worked with one of her friends. And they said, you need to do something different. This isn't going to work. And I asked him, I said, well, could you go ahead and test me for the C. diff just to make sure? And for some reason, they ended up not doing the test. I gave them a sample. They said they were going to test it. But then when I called 2 weeks later, said, what were the results? They said, we never did test you. So I don't know what went on there. But anyway, I was getting desperate. So I got to do something. But then that's when Jessica told me about this procedure. And I said, well, the FMT doesn't sound, I mean, I was going to do it because I'm desperate, but I thought, I'm
yeah,
not sure if I want to go that route because I don't know who the donor is.
yeah,
And I'm
for
not
sure.
comfortable with that, but maybe a family member I would.
Yeah.
So, but I said, I'll try this first then.
Yeah, no, it is a bit of a yucky treatment. As a matter of fact, now they've got it. I just noticed the other day that there's a company called Cirrus Therapeutics, and they started off with the FMT, but now they're putting it into a capsule, and they're actually taking what they're suggesting is almost specific bacteria out of that poop and putting it in a capsule. And I just sort of chuckle and I think, well, don't bite down as you're swallowing those capsules. But anyway, anyway, so now the good news, Jessica, got us together, and that was great. And so I think it was about February 6th when I met you, and we went, through the drill as to what it was, and so I know you left that day, and you had, I think we only had, as a matter of fact, our trial, the actual clinical trial we've got going right now, is a 2-dose differential trial. One is 20 grams a day, and the other one is 40 grams a day, and it goes between 10 and 14 days. And all I had with me at the time was the 20-gram dose and only 10 days of doses. And so, it was our lower of the 2 doses, and that's what I had. I didn't have anything else to give Michael at the time. And so anyway, you took it, and it was basically just, you mix it with milk, go through the process of actually what you went through for those 10 days.
Right. Now, I will let you know when I got ready to take it. I'm very skeptical because I said, I know you hear a lot of promises, people's product does this and that. And so I'm very skeptical, and I'm thinking this is a serious thing. So either it's going to work or it's not going to work, and I'll know right away. But when I started taking it, I noticed the same results as the vancomycin. Within a few days, things start getting better. The cramps go away. It clears up. And then after I think, like you said, it was a 10-day treatment.
Yeah.
I was cleared up. And then I thought, well, okay, I'm holding my breath because we got still the 2 weeks. 2 weeks came and passed. I go, still, I'm not getting it. So this is working a little bit better than the vancomycin. And then another 2 weeks, and then we went all the way up into it was after Easter, and still I did not get it, and I haven't had it as of the present time right now. So I got results, but like I said, I was very skeptical, and I wasn't going to be biased or prejudiced in any way. I said, we'll see if this really works.
Well, it's funny because right at the beginning, I was calling you virtually every other day because I just wanted to see how things were going, even while you're taking it. And then, for sure, after the 2 weeks when you finished, I wanted to find out. And, it was, basically by texting, it would say still good. And I would do that. And every couple of weeks, still good. But then we went about 4 or 5 weeks and I didn't hear from him. And I thought, he's avoiding me because he doesn't want to jinx it. and and so in our trial, how we operate in the trial, we actually have to go 70 days from the day of finishing of the treatment. So basically, we're talking about a little over 2 months when we consider the treatment complete, and it would be called a cure. If you haven't recurred within that 2 month period, then we consider that a cure. But you're now up to about 8 or 9 months, I guess, virtually since you started the treatment, and that's great to hear. And I'm glad that that's what happened. And so. Anyway, that's the story, and really, we're going to be doing the trials down in the United States, pretty soon. Right now, we're recruiting patients in Canada. As a matter of fact, people in the United States actually can come up and do our treatment if they want to, and we've actually had another person that was going to do that because nothing was working for her. She had gone through about twice as much time as you have with the recurrences, and had tried everything, multiple fecal transplants, and didn't work, and so anyway, and she was willing to come up and see us and actually have the trial there. But anyway, Michael, I appreciate your time on this, and I'm really glad to see that you've gotten better. And by the way, our trial right now, it's a 60 patient trial that we're on, in the process right now, and we expected, by the way, you would get better, Michael, because we're about 94% success with any patients we've done, and we're now at about 130 patients in total, including I think we had 96 patients right off the bat that were what they call preclinical and what they call compassionate grounds trials, and so and we got great results in those cases. We were pretty confident that we'd get the same results. And any side effects? That's one little thing to ask.
No, I haven't noticed any side effects. Actually, if anything, improvements in the bowel habits and things like that. So, like I said, I really feel like it cleared it up. And I know I even shared with my GI doctor this information, but they just didn't want to even listen about it. But like I said, I was getting desperate to where I had to go to a different doctor in the city or something, because it is something terrible. And I feel for anybody that's got to go through that. If this, helps somebody else, it's just worth it to try this product, because there's
Yeah.
no use suffering.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, it's a trial product now, and the company's called ImmuniMed Inc., and that's IMMUNIMED. And the actual trial product is called IM01, which is typical when you have a trial product. And so anyway, and you could reach us on ImmuniMed.com. It's our email address, and I have a U.S. phone number, which is 941-221-2505, and my name is John Hare. So if anybody's interested, you can get a hold of me. But again, Michael, thanks a lot for your time, and I'm really glad that Jessica, your daughter-in-law, got us together on that. And
like I said, I am definitely not being prejudiced or biased, because I would definitely say so, because I've always heard of so many gimmicks and schemes, and I'm one of those that will let anybody know, but I'm being truthful. This actually worked for me.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. And like I said, we expected it would, and it is in a very legitimate clinical trial. So, they don't even let you start those trials unless they know pretty good chance of success.
I hope you guys can get this approved and get it going. Yeah.
We're working on it, but I'll tell you, the bureaucracy is not easy.